Asha is the Avestan language term for a concept of cardinal importance to Zoroastrian theology and doctrine. In the moral sphere, Asha arta represents what has been called the decisive confessional concept of Zoroastrianism. The opposite of Avestan Asha is druj. The significance of the term is complex, with a highly nuanced range of meaning. It is commonly summarized in accord with its contextual implications of truth and right, or order and right working. For other connotations, see meaning below. Its Old Persian equivalent is arta. In Middle Iranian languages the term appears as ad. The word is also the proper name of the divinity Asha, the Amesha Spenta, that is the hypostasis or genius of truth or righteousness. In the younger Avesta, this figure is more commonly referred to as Asha Vishta, best truth. The Middle Persian descendant is Asha Wahisht or Ard Wahisht, New Persian Ardai Buhesht or Ordai Buhesht. In the Gathas, the oldest texts of Zoroastrianism and thought to have been composed by the prophet himself, it is seldom possible to distinguish between moral principle and the divinity. Later texts consistently use the best epithet when speaking of the Amesha Spenta. Only once in the Gathas is best an adjective of Asha arta. Etymology. Avestan Asha and its Vedic equivalent arta both derive from Proto-Indo-Iranian *arta, truth, which in turn continues Proto-Indo-European *h2r to properly joined right, true, for the root *h2r. The word is attested in Old Persian as arta. It is unclear whether the Avestan variation between Asha and arta is merely orthographical. Benveniste suggested S was only a convenient way of writing arta and should not be considered phonetically relevant. According to Gray, S is a misreading, representing not but of uncertain phonetic value but probably representing a voiceless r. Miller suggested that arta was restored when a scribe was aware of the morpheme boundary between the r and t. Avestan druj, like its Vedic Sanskrit kuz and dru, appears to derive from the pi root *dru. Also continued in Persian, druj, German trug, fraud, deception. Old Norse draf and Middle Irish druj mean spectre, spook. The Sanskrit cognate dru means affliction, afflicting demon, meaning Asha cannot be precisely rendered by some single word in another tongue, but may be summarized as follows. It is, first of all, true statement. This true statement, because it is true, corresponds to an objective material reality that embraces all of existence. Recognized in it is a great cosmic principle, since all things happen according to it. This cosmic force is imbued also with morality, as verbal truth, la parole conforme, and righteousness, action, conforming with the moral order. The correspondence between truth, reality, and an all-encompassing cosmic principle is not far removed from Heraclitus's conception of logos as truth. Both Avestan Asha arta and Vedic arta are commonly translated as truth, as this best reflects both the original meaning of the term as well as the opposition to the respective antonyms. The opposite of Avestan Asha arta is druj. Similarly, the opposites of Vedic arta are anarta and dru. Likewise, that truth is also what was commonly understood by the term is attested in Greek myth of Isis and Osiris 47. Plutarch calls the divinity Alpha Lambda Eta Theta Epsilon Iota Alpha Aletheia, truth, as existence. The adjective corresponding to the noun Asha arta, truth, is Avestan Hythia, true, the opposite of which is also druj. Avestan Hythia derives from Indo-Iranian *satu that in turn derives from Indo-European *sat being existing. The Sanskrit cognate satu means true, in the sense of really existing. Quote, This meaning is also preserved in Avestan, for instance in the expression hi theta imveres, to make true, as in to bring to realization. Another meaning of reality may be inferred from the component parts of the Asha, arta, from a with a substantivizing ta suffix. The root a corresponds to Old Avestan areta and Younger Avestan areta, established. Hence Asha, arta, that which is established. The synonymy of Asha and existence overlaps with the stock identification of Ahura Mazda as the creator. Truth is existence inasmuch as falsehood is non-existence. Also, because Asha is everything that druj is not, since Asha is druj is not. Details Ahavangra menu. This notion is already expressed in the Avesta itself, such as in the first Yasht, dedicated to Ahura Mazda, in which the fifth name is the whole good existence of Mazda, the seed of Asha. Similarly, in the mythology of Gander Beta 8, the yellow-heeled dragon of the druj that emerges from the deep to destroy the living world of Asha. In the ethical goals of Zoroastrianism, Vahumana is active in good thoughts, Sreyasha in good words, and Asha in good deeds. Asha is thus represented as active and effective, as right-working. Subject to context, Asha arta is also frequently translated as right-working or right. The word then has the same range of meaning of right as in the English language: truth, righteousness, rightfulness, lawfulness, conformity, accord, order. These various meanings of right are frequently combined, such as the inexorable law of righteousness, or as the eternal fitness of things that are in accord with the divine order. As regularity and right-working, Asha arta is present when Ahura Mazda fixed the course of the sun, the moon and the stars, and it is through Asha that plants grow. Right-working also overlaps with both Indo-European to join together, and with the notion of existence and realization. The word for established, areta, also means proper. The antonymic anoreta means improper. In Zoroastrian tradition, prayers must be enunciated with care for them to be effective. The Indo-Iranian formula such as mantras does not simply mean true word, but formulated thought which is in conformity with the reality, or poetic formula with inherent fulfillment. It perhaps has also suggestions of harmoniousness, cooperativeness in comparison to Vedic usage. The kinship between Old Iranian Asha arta and Vedic arta is evident in numerous formulaic phrases and expressions that appear in both the Avesta and in the Rig Veda. For instance, the *artasyu path of truth is attested multiple times in both sources. Y51.13, 72.11, RV 3.12.7, 7.66.3. Similarly, source of truth. Avestan Asha Khan Vedic Karmatasya. The adjective corresponding to Avestan Asha arta is hi theta I, true. Similarly, the adjective corresponding to Vedic arta, truth, is satyu, true. The opposite of both Asha arta and Hyadya is druj, or false. In contrast, in the Vedas the opposite of both arta and satya is druj and arta, also I, or false. However, while the Indo-Iranian concept of truth is attested throughout Zoroastrian tradition, arta disappears in post-Vedic literature and is not preserved in post-Vedic texts. On the other hand, satya and anarta both survive in classical Sanskrit. The main theme of the Rig Veda, the truth and the gods, is not evident in the Gathas. Thematic parallels between Asha arta and arta, however, exist, such as in Yash 10, the Avestan hymn to Mithra. There Mithra, who is the hypostasis and the preserver of covenant, is the protector of Asha arta. Rig Vedic Mithra is likewise preserver of arta, fire as the agent of truth. Asha is closely associated with fire. Fire is thirdly conceived as a force informing all the other Amesha spentas, giving them warmth and the spark of light. Quote, in Yasht 17.20, Angramenu clamours that Zoroaster burns him with Asha. In meaning.It 4.54-55, speaking against the truth and violating the sanctity of promises detected by the consumption of water, blazing, of golden color, having the power to detect guilt. This analogy of truth that burns and detecting truth through fire is already attested in the very earliest texts, that is, in the Gathas and in the Yashna Haptanghiti. In Yashna 43:44, Ahura Mazda dispenses justice through radiance of his fire and the strength of Asha. Fire detects sinners by hand grasping. An individual who has passed the fiery test has attained physical and spiritual strength, wisdom, truth and love with serenity. Altogether, there are said to have been some 30 kinds of fiery tests in all. Quote, according to the post-Sassanid Avestan Identic, at the final judgment a river of molten metal will cover the earth. A righteous, as they wade through this river, will perceive the molten metal as a bath of warm milk. The wicked will be scorched. For details on Asa's role in personal and final judgment, see Asha in eschatology, below. Fire is moreover the auxiliary of the truth, and not only, as in the ordeal, of justice and of truth at the same time. Quote, in Yashna 31.19, the man who thinks of Asha, who uses his tongue in order to speak correctly, with the aid of brilliant fire. In Yashna 34-44, devotees ardently desire mighty fire through Asha. Quote, in Yashna 43:44, Ahura Mazda shall come to through the splendor of fire, possessing the strength of Asha and good mind. Quote, that fire possesses strength through Asha is repeated again in Yashna 43.4. In Yashna 43.9, Zoroaster, wishing to serve fire, gives his attention to Asha. In Yashna 37.1, in a list of what are otherwise all physical creations, Asha takes the place of fire. Asha Varishta's association with Atar is carried forward in the post-Gathic texts, and they are often mentioned together. In Zoroastrian cosmogony, each of the Amesha spentas represents one aspect of creation and one of 7 primordial elements that in Zoroastrian tradition of the basis of the creation. In this matrix, Asha arta is the origin of fire, Avestan Atar, which permeates through all creation. The correspondence then is that Asha arta penetrates all ethical life, as fire penetrates all physical being. In the liturgy, Asha Varishta is frequently invoked together with fire. In one passage, fire is a protector of Asha. When the evil spirit assailed the creation of good truth, good thought and fire intervened. In later Zoroastrian tradition, Asha Varishta is still at times identified with the fire of the household hearth. In eschatology and soteriology, in addition to the role of fire as the agent of truth, fire, among its various other manifestations, is also the fire of judicial ordeal, prototype of the fiery torrent of Judgment Day, when all will receive the just deserts by fire and by Asha. In the Avesta, the radiant quarters of Asha is the best existence, i.e., paradise, entry to which is restricted to those who are recognized as possessing truth. The key to this doctrine is Yashna 16.7, we worship the radiant quarters of Asha in which dwell the souls of the dead, the phravisis of the Asivans, the best existence of the Asivans we worship, light and according all comforts. Asha derives from the same Proto-Indo-European root as Ayaman, the divinity of healing who was closely associated with Asha Vaishta. At the Last Judgment, the common common noun Yaman is an epithet of the Zoroastrians, the saviors that bring about the final renovation of the world. The standing epithet of these savior figures is nuanced arta, which likewise has arta as an element of the name. These saviors are those who follow Ahura Mazda's teaching, with acts inspired by Asha. Both Yaman and Asha Varishta are closely associated with Zoroastrian conscience and guardian of the Chinvat bridge across which souls must pass, according to a lost Avestan passage that is only preserved in a later Pahlavi text towards the end of time and the final renovation. Asha and Yaman will together come upon the earth to do battle with the Arizona, the demon of greed. The third Yasht, which is nominally addressed to Ashavishta, is in fact mostly devoted to the praise of the Yamanishya, the fourth of the four great Gathic prayers. In present-day Zoroastrianism it is considered to invoke Yaman just as the Ashamvo is the second of the four great Gathic prayers, is dedicated to Asha. All four prayers have judgment and/or salvation as a theme, and all four call on the truth. It is Yaman that, together with fire, will melt the metal in the hills and mountains, and it will be upon the earth like a river. In Zoroastrian tradition, metal is the domain of Akshatra, the Amesha Spenta of dominion, with whom Asha is again frequently identified. Dominion is moreover a form of truth and results from truth. In Denkard 8.37.13, Asha Varishta actually takes over Yaman's healer role as the healer of all spiritual ills, and Yaman then only retains the role of healer of corporeal ills. Although Yaman has no dedication in the Sirosa, the invocations to the divinities of the Zoroastrian calendar, Yaman is twice invoked together with Asha. Aojemadicha 41-47 prototypes death as a journey that has to be properly prepared for. As mortals acquire material goods as they go through life, so also should they furnish themselves with spiritual stores of righteousness. They will then be well provisioned when they embark on the journey from which they will not return. Asa's role is not limited to judgment. In Bundarishan 26.35, Asha prevents demons from exacting too great a punishment to souls consigned to hell. Here, Asha occupies the position that other texts assign to Mithra, who is traditionally identified with fairness. For the relationship between Asha, eschatology and Naruz, see in the Zoroastrian calendar, below. Although there are numerous eschatological parallels between Asha and Asi, recompense, reward, and are on occasion even mentioned together, the two are not etymologically related. The feminine abstract noun Asi, arti, derives from art, to allot, to grant. Asi also has no Vedic equivalent in relationship to the other Amesha Spentas. In Zoroastrian cosmogony and cosmology, which though alluded to in the Gathas, is only systematically described in Zoroastrian tradition, Asha is the second of the six primeval creations realized by Ahura Mazda. It is through these six, the Amesha Spentas, that all subsequent creation was accomplished. In addition to Asha Varishta's role as an Amesha Spenta, and hence one of the primordial creations through which all other creation was realized, truth is one of the organs, aspects or emanations of Ahura Mazda through which the Creator acts and is immanent in the world. Although Vahumana regularly stands first in the list of the Amesha Spenta in the Gathas, Asha Varishta is the most evident of the six, and also the most commonly associated with wisdom. In the 238 verses of these hymns, Asha appears 157 times. Of the other concepts, only Vahumana, good purpose, appears nearly as often. In comparison, the remaining four of the Great Sextet appear only 121 times altogether. Although a formal hierarchy is not evident in the Gathas, the group of six divides naturally into three dyads. Quote, In this arrangement, Asha is paired with Voumana. This reflects the frequency in which the two appear in the gathers and is in turn reflected in Zoroastrian tradition. In Bundarshan 26.8, Voumana stands at the left hand of God, while Asha stands at the right. In Divine Epithets of Ahura Mazda, Jasht 1, the hymn dedicated to Ahura Mazda, provides a list of 74 names by which the Creator is invoked. In the numbered list of Yasht 1.7, Ashavishta, best truth, is the fourth name. A later verse, Jasht 1.12, includes Asavant, possessing truth, and Asavastema, most righteous. In Yashna 40.3, Ahura Mazda is a Sanak, having Asha following. Of other divinities, one of Ha-Oma's stock epithets is Asivaza, furthering Asha. Ata possesses strength through Asha. In the Zoroastrian calendar, the third day of the month and the second month of the year are dedicated to and named after Asha and Ashavishta. A special service to Asha and Asha, known as the Jashan of Artavisht, is held on the day on which month name and day name dedications intersect. In the Fizli and Bastani variants of the Zoroastrian calendar, this falls on April 22nd. Rapithwan, one of the 5 Gars of the day, under the protection of Asha. This implies that all prayers recited between noon and 3 invoke Asha. Noon is considered to be the perfect time, at which instant the world was created and at which instant time will stop on the day of the final renovation of the world. In the winter months, the Devic time of Yet Rapithwan is known as the second Havan, and with the first day of spring, March 21st, Rapithwan symbolically returns. This day, March 21st, is Nowruz. Nowruz, the holiest of all Zoroastrian festivals, is dedicated to Asha. It follows immediately after Parteti, the day of introspection and the Zoroastrian equivalent of All Souls' Day. Nowruz, Zoroastrianism's New Year's Day, is celebrated on the first day of spring, traditionally understood to be the day of rebirth, and literally translated means new day. The first month of the year of the Zoroastrian calendar is Farvadan, which is dedicated to and named after the Fravasis, the guardian spirits of the dead. The underlying idea of the dedication of the second month of the year to Ashavishta may be revivification of the earth after the death of winter. Iconography. On cushion coins, Ashavishta appears as Asarixo, with a diadem and nimbus, like Mithra in the same series. In proper names, arta representing either the Av divinity Asha or the principal Asha occurs frequently as an element in Iranian personal names. Hellenized, Latinized names include Artabanos, from *Artabanu, glory of Arta. Artabazens, a variant of either Artabazus or Artabjana. Artabazis, Artabazos, attested as Avestan Ashavazda, perhaps meaning powerful, persevering through Arta. Artabjana, from *Artabjana, exalting Arta. Artaphrines, either from Artamenu, spirit of Arta, or a corruption of Artafana, glory of Arta. Artasiras, from *Artashura, powerful through Arta. Artaxata, Artaxiasata, meaning joy of Arta. Artaxias, from an Aramaic form of Artaxaka. Artaxerxes, a compound of Arta and Xerxes, the latter not being a part of the original Old Persian Artaxaka, whose reign is through Arta, or dominion of Arta. Artazosta, from *Artazoshri, who is in favor of Arta, or who takes delight in Arta. Artembers, from *Artempara, who encourages Arta, or who furthers Arta. Other names include Artavadiya and Adamadiya, meaning doer of justice. Ardivaraz, the righteous Varaz. Ardshir, Middle Persian form of Old Persian Artaxaka, literally, whose reign is through Arta, actually means holy kingship. Middle Iranian Ard is also suggested to be the root of names of the current-day Iranian cities of Ardabil, Ardekan, Ardabil and Avestan. Bibliography